Hi, my name is Elizabeth. You can call me Beth. I am a 43-year-old plant-based new mom, and I have a podcast called Plant-Based Not Perfect, which you can check out on Apple or Spotify or anywhere that you get your podcasts. But lately, I've been wanting to try something new, so I wanted to start a YouTube channel where I share more of the behind the scenes of how I live my plant based life, how I was plant based through pregnancy and plant based in postpartum, and just share my tips and tricks and all of that. Because over on Instagram, if you follow me, my name is at Hot Healthy. I try to share what I'm eating on a daily basis so you can get inspiration. I talk about my workouts, but I wanted to share more of myself and my life, and I felt like YouTube was the best outlet for that. So, first, I wanted to talk about my life before going plant based, which was about 11 years ago. Before I was plant based, I loved cheeseburgers. I was pretty unhealthy. I drank quite frequently. I work in advertising and marketing, and I feel like alcohol goes hand in hand with that profession. So, it was just part of my everyday life. I didn't think about what I was eating or health. I worked out with like Groupons, but it definitely wasn't an everyday thing. I wasn't very motivated about my health. I love to read. I am an English major, and I had taken a book with me on vacation to the Bahamas, and it was written by Elle Macpherson's trainer. I'll pop in the name of the book. It wasn't about being plant based, it was just about living your healthiest lifestyle and some of the things that she did to stay healthy. So I thought, well, if Elle Macpherson follows this, then it's good enough for me. And that was really the first spark that got me interested in health and wellness. Around that same time, once we got back from our trip, Instagram was kind of new, and I started following people who were into health and wellness. I think I was doing tone it up workouts at the time, and that was my workout of choice that I would do at home. And then I fell down the rabbit hole of following people who were plant based, and that was what got me started playing with some more plant based recipes. Once I started following people on Instagram, it inspired me to look into documentaries that were on Netflix at the time, which were about food. The one that really inspired me the most was called Forks Over Knives. Definitely check it out if you haven't watched it yet. And it just really spoke to me and inspired me to go plant based. But first, I went completely raw vegan. Being raw vegan was popular at the time, and that's what people I was following were doing. So I myself attempted it, but it wasn't quite the same because I had a full time job I was going to. I was still very much in the partying lifestyle. So being raw vegan with that didn't really mesh very well. And I just simply wasn't consuming enough calories. I would go for walks with my mother-in-law and feel too weak to continue taking a walk. And that's when I knew that this wasn't sustainable, it wasn't healthy. So I just stopped. I went back to eating the way that I did before. About a year later, I got a call that my mom had been rushed to the hospital for congestive heart failure and almost died. It was very scary. My mom's always had health issues my entire life, which is a separate podcast episode, but she didn't have heart disease, so she didn't have clogged arteries or need heart surgery. It was congestive heart failure, and what we learned later was that it was from an infection in her teeth that led to an infection in her heart. And that was an aha moment for me. I had never heard that your dental health could affect the rest of your health, could affect your heart, can even affect your brain. And that was when I started researching like crazy. I love research. That is a big part of my background and my life. Like I said, I was an English major and I got a master's degree in technical writing, which a lot of it is writing manuals and figuring things out and taking really confusing information and drilling it down to layman's terms for people. And I also wanted to be a lawyer at one time, so I love researching and finding that like smoking gun. So pairing that together with someone who's extremely passionate was a recipe for the catalyst that got me back into being plant-based. Because as I researched for my mom, everything that kept coming up was just talking about eating more plants and living a more plant-based way of life, and how other places around the world didn't have the same common diseases that we have in the US. And it's largely due to their lifestyle habits and their diets. And as I started reading more and more, I just couldn't get enough. And I'd already been inspired previously by all the documentaries I watched and the people I followed. But this time, it was really my mom's health that motivated me to dive deep, find out this information, because I wanted to help her as much as possible. Now, my mom never went plant-based, but that's a whole other conversation. But I was so inspired and so motivated that I decided to become plant-based again. But this time, I wanted to learn from my mistakes of going all or nothing. And I said, okay, I'm going to be plant-based, but I'm going to leave room for life to happen. I'm working a 9-to-5 job that can be stressful, and you don't have time to just be eating bowls of fruit all day long. And I liked to go out and I went to events, and it wasn't always that simple to bring my own food or have to eat before. So this time I approached it from a really sustainable way of eating plant-based, and that's really where Plant-Based Not Perfect was born. So for me personally, what Plant-Based Not Perfect means is that 80 to 90% of the time I'm eating whole plant-based foods as much as possible. I'm making my own meals from whole foods. And then that 20% leaves room for life to happen, whether you're on vacation, whether you go out for the night and want a piece of cheese pizza. You allow those items to happen without feeling quote unquote bad or that you failed the diet. I think a lot of people don't have a sustainable vegan or plant-based diet because they think if they eat one thing that's not plant-based, they might as well just give up and they are no longer vegan or they're no longer plant-based. My approach is that you leave the 20% for whatever makes sense for you. So for me, I live in Florida and seafood is pretty hard to escape. I made seafood my 20%. I made some cheese my 20% because cheese is in so many things. It's at so many events that you attend and family gatherings. And it was also the hardest thing for me to quit. So cheese is in my 20%. Alcohol occasionally is in my 20%. And I think it's just allowing yourself to take the pressure off of being called a label, because once you say out loud that you're a vegan, everybody freaks out, becomes a nutritionist, and wants to hold you to that. And if they see you make one mistake, it's something that everyone, I think, buckles under the pressure of. I mean, I think all of us have seen so many people who were very strict vegans are no longer vegan anymore. And I can see why, because they left no room for error. Okay, so next I want to talk about the benefits of eating a mainly plant-based diet and what benefits I have seen. So you can read all the studies, which I will talk about in more videos, but personally what I have experienced is rarely being sick. I also used to have endometriosis, which I will do a whole video about. I had terrible pain. I had surgery for it. And now, since I went plant-based, I have zero endometriosis symptoms anymore, no pain whatsoever. Even during pregnancy, not being on the pill anymore, I had zero endometriosis anymore. So that is a whole conversation for itself, but I believe it's due to lifestyle changes as well as eating a mainly plant-based diet. I think maintaining a naturally lean body is something that comes with eating plants primarily. That's just because they're lower in calories than eating meat and processed food and eating out and living the lifestyle that I had before. The other major thing I wanted to talk about is a lot of people who went vegan lost their period. Most of it's because they just simply weren't consuming enough food and eating a diverse plant-based diet, making sure they're getting all of their nutrients. As they say, your fifth vital sign is for a woman to have her period. So I never lost my period on a plant-based, not perfect diet, and I was able to get pregnant at the age of 42 completely naturally. I was plant-based, not perfect through my pregnancy. Now I'm postpartum. I am 11 months and I'm still eating the same way. And I think I can dive deeper into that if you're interested in it. But I think being able to naturally get pregnant, especially at my age, is due to lifestyle habits and diet. Like things that you didn't even know you experienced before change once you're living this way, and how you feel. You don't have things that other people complain to me about. There's just so many benefits of eating mainly a plant-based diet, or at least just adding more plants into your diet. I am not strict. My husband still eats meat. We make it work together, which is a whole other conversation, but I don't believe you have to eat the exact same way that I do. I don't believe you have to be vegan to be healthy. In fact, we know you can be vegan and be unhealthy. More of what I feel passionate about is just sharing how adding more plants in and changing your lifestyle habits can lead to overall health and wellness, and hopefully help you avoid these common diseases that we see so much in the United States, like diabetes, heart disease, etc. So next I want to talk about what this channel will be about and my hopes for it. I'd love to share more day in my life and sharing my recipes as I'm making them, to show you how I make my own acai, my lean green smoothie, my grocery hauls, take you grocery shopping with me, share more of my day in the life of being a full-time working, work from home mom with a baby. I think is very interesting to people, and it's not something I really share on social media. So I'd love to share that more with my audience. Obviously my workouts, I think that's something I get asked about a lot. I try out many different workouts and have kind of found what works best for me. So that's something that I'd like to share more about. And just pregnancy, postpartum, anything you're interested in. So leave a comment below if there's any topics that you'd like me to cover. I have learned after years of being plant-based how to go about it in a very sustainable way. And I have helped many people lower their markers, lose weight, and achieve better health. And that's something that I want to bring to YouTube and help inspire, motivate, educate. I love research, like I said, so I'd like to share, the studies that I have found and give more insight into why I make certain choices, because I find that personally very interesting. I think my purpose in life is to help others, and I would love to help you on your journey of maybe trying to be a little more plant-based. Certainly plant-based, not perfect, or just if you're looking to add more plants in, or if you're not interested in being plant-based at all, but you just want to be healthier and you're interested in health and wellness, then I hope that this channel can be that for you. So let me know what you think, what videos you would like me to do in the future. Put it in the comments below, and I will definitely read every comment, and I will start sharing more videos soon. Talk to you later. Bye.